Good evening and welcome. Welcome to my live stream. I'm so glad you found me. Tonight we're going to talk about fighting CPS and stop taking our children. I'm your host, Bob Pace, and I've been doing this every night for the last 21 months. That's, week after week, month after month, and year after year. I started October 2023. And not only do I have my evening show at 7 p.m. on the west coast of California, Pacific Standard Time, I have a morning show. Now, during the weekdays, it's on at 10 o'clock in the morning. On the weekends, which is tomorrow, it'll be at 8 a.m. in the morning. And these 14 live streams are on every day of the week. And I try to stick to my time frames. Sometimes I'm late, so issues beyond my control. Um, One of the biggest issues I'm having is a computer. I need a new computer. And I'm using my son's computers, and it sometimes hangs up. It's a problem with computers is it's really hard to figure out what is the computer you need. You can't say that, you have to get one that works with all your applications. I always say get the fastest computer around. The more RAM you have and the highest, latest processor, that's it. And here I am talking about another life skill about how to pick a computer. I have lots of life skills, and one of them is CPS. But I have hundreds of life skills that I try to talk to you about. I can talk to you about God and your journey on the train to God. That's something that we can talk about. But we're here to help you all with your issue that you're dealing with what is called the Child Protection System. CPS is what I call it. Every state has counties, and every county will have a child protection system. The system names vary from state to state, county to county, and so forth. Some are called Child Protection Service, CPS. Some are called the Department of Children and Family Services, DCFS. Some are called DCS, Department of Children's Services. Some are called the Cabinet. So sitting here trying to figure out which one to call, I just say CPS. Everybody pretty much knows what CPS does. In fact, when you Google search CPS, you come up with CPS. It's a government entity in the United States. It was started in 1962 as mandated by Congress to social service that they create a group of social workers that protect our children from neglect and abuse and try to do family reunification, try to put the family back together because the best parents, studies have proven, are the biological parents. So if there's a hiccup in their parenting skills, or they have domestic violence or drug problems, those could be always fixed. It's not the end of the world. And all effort should be is to do that. Now, how CPS gets reported is by two kinds of individuals. One are the mandated reporters, which are the professionals. These are people that work with children professionally, like school teachers, administrators, and counselors. Also, we have doctors and nurses, and then we have caregivers, and we have police and fire. All the people in those areas are all um, professional um, people that have done the training for CPS and knows how to report neglect and abuse. But the other kind of individual are the lay individual. They're your family and friends and relatives and acquaintances, the guy down the street, the girl up the street. Um, they're your lay people. The lay people reporters and the mandated reporters are the individuals that report problems with our children. It's very important that we have the public help us, the people out there, because they're our eyes. There is maltreatment of children, but not every case is maltreatment. That's the problem CPS has done now. They've gotten so greedy and so hungry for money, they get trillions of dollars a year. And they get the money that is sent by the federal government to the state and from the state to the county. There's nobody managing the money. In fact, in Richmond, Kentucky, there's over $1 million that has been embezzled, or we don't know where it's been spent. But they did find a social worker that was caught empty-handed with 400,000 of it. He embezzled $400,000. So we do know what's going on because it is like that. But we need to have a board of directors and supervisors, and we don't have such an entity that can our take care of the money that is sent to supposedly help the social service. But it's exaggerated money. They get $20,000 a month per child to have them in custody. If there's special needs, they get additional $15,000. Also, they have an incentive program where they try to have foster care adopt a child, and they're given a $35,000 bonus to the agency if they get that child adopted. In 1997, President Bill Clinton signed a law, the incentive law, that basically said that it takes too long with family reunification. So they wanted to speed it up, so they think it is there. But it's all about money. And that's the sad part. A lot of you ask me, why do they do this? Why do they do that? Why do they take my children? It's all because of money. They make money off, not necessarily off you as a person, not collecting money from you. They're making up because your family's involved in CPS. Now, there's several ways you interact with this live stream, but why am I yawning? Boy. Good one. I got it on the screen. I don't need to read it to you. But I'd love to hear from you by texting in a message. Please follow what's outlined on the screen. I do mention countries because I also have 22 countries that have either text or called into this program. Total of 20 countries, including the United States. I've spoken to every state in the United States, including District of Columbia, which is Washington, D.C. And I am here to help you with your fight against CPS, to help you hang on to your children or get your children back. Now, people are coming in the room, and I'm so glad they are. And I have Alma Star. I have no idea where you're from. I have Megan Tabitha, who's been in here before, and she's from Los Angeles, California, and she likes to help out. And Vincent Davis requested you to do what? Help me out, Megan. What are you going to do? Amistar says Title 14E funding in Florida pays for federal dollars to private agencies that are outsourced to do DCF work. In my county in Florida, there's a private agency is paid well. Is Children's Network. What is your case? I'm gonna start and assume you're from Florida. I'm sorry, you're from Lead Court, Florida. Well, thank you, Almastar. And Megan Tabitha, what did Vincent Davis request of you? Help me out. What are you going to do? Oh, what I'm not going to do. Okay. All right, Megan, what are you not going to do? And you're in Lee County, Almond Star. That's great. So glad to have you from Florida. You're going to help me. All right. I can use all the help I can. I help you all that can. Glad to meet you, Megan from Los Angeles. We have, she's been in here before. I've seen her here before. So I'm glad that you're into my live stream. I've been doing this live stream now for 22 months. I've talked to over 2,500 people. I've done 2,000 live streams, 2,000 live streams twice a day. And I can use all the help I can, Megan, Tabitha. So I'm here waiting for you to text me your messages or to call in or to be a guest. Now, besides comments, you can also be my guest on the live stream. To be a guest on my live stream, all you have to do is contact my show producer. Her email's up on the screen. You just pick one of my 14 shows and tell her that you want to be on that show, and she'll send you a link to StreamYard, which is a software application I use that broadcasts on YouTube. And we can talk about it. So I love to have guests on my show. I love to have guests on my show. And that is the link to send your thing. All you have to do is write an email to her, tell me Bob's Sunday morning show or Bob's Friday night show or Bob's Wednesday morning show. You just pick night or morning. Hello, Cruella Trick. Cruella is from Oxnard, California. She comes in here twice a day with me. I'm so glad to see you and welcome and thank you for calling. Hey, Uncle Bob. I like that, Cruella. Now, Almond Star from Florida says, thank you. I'm making a cash donation right now and would love an opportunity to speak to Vincent Davis and be a guest. Well, Almond Star, if you want to speak to Vincent Davis for free for 15 minutes, all you have to do is call in. Now, I'm going to put my phone number up so y'all can start calling in. Here's my number, 626-698-0990. I'd love to have you call in. And if you call in, you'll get a free 15-minute private Zoom consultation with Mr. Davis. All you have to do is talk to me on the phone about your story, or you can be a guest and get a free 15-minute private Zoom consultation with Mr. Davis. So there's two ways you get that private Zoom consultation, either as a guest or the call in. Well, I thank you for being in here. So if you want to speak to Mr. Davis, call in. I'm a star. My numbers are available, 626-698-0990. Or be a guest on my show. The same thing works there too. And again, thank you for the cash donation, Almond Star. That's really great. That's really good. Oh, Thank you, Megan, and looking forward to how you want to help me. All right, we're waiting for people either to call in or to text a message or a question. So I realize there are many cases. I see hundreds of cases every day. All right, we got a phone call come in. Evening and welcome to my live stream. This is Bob Pace, and who do I have the pleasure of talking to? Okay, hi, Elma Starr, and you're from Florida, right? Okay. And what do you want to have a story to say, or do you have a question to ask?
Years news-based reporter, and it was a principal, and it was estranged family members. The
Layperson, a layperson. Yeah.
mine who runs Department of Children and Families in Salt Lake City, Utah.
Oh,
She
she's a mandated reporter. She's supposed to be there. Well, let me tell you, I never got a chance to tell you about mandated reporters, but last year there was 2,400,000 reports of child abuse by mandated reporters. Sad of it, sad of it, half of them, 2 million, were unsubstantiated, meaning they were false. So they only get 50% of right, the mandated reporters. Now, the laymen are worse. They're lucky if they get 25% right. And so you have you have these bad, people there. So anyway, this person from Salt Lake City who works for them knew what they're doing. They're trying to. Now, why did they have anger issues with your family?
allegations were substantiated. Two of them were false. From CPS tooth and nail to prove that they am a fit mother. The allegations were that I was a drug addict, an alcoholic, mentally ill, specifically schizophrenic, bipolar. I've had three psychological evaluations, and all they found was that I'm dealing with trauma, PTSD, because they removed my children. I've done hair follicle tests to prove that I don't do drugs or drink alcohol. It's been ongoing 2 years now of me fighting and fighting and fighting the system. Um, I I want to sue, but everybody tells me that they have immunity. But I feel like, I mean, at the moment, I just want my kids home. I'm on a process. I think it looks really good. I have gone through 7 attorneys, two that I hired and didn't help me at all. And there are no attorneys in my county that will litigate against DCS. Not a one, sir. Let me just stop right there. There are no private attorneys in my county. And if I go outside of my county, like if I go to Tampa or Orlando or Miami, they all refuse to come to my county. I am a business owner. I did have plenty of money for attorneys at the beginning of this case, but I just couldn't find any private attorneys.
Yeah, let me go back to where um, these mandated reporters. See, the sad part is when these reports are made, you are
Yes, sir.
guilty. You are guilty, until you're proven innocent. It's the only court of law that you're guilty. Every other court of law that you're charged with a crime, you're innocent till you're proven guilty. But in CPS circles, you're guilty. And the reason why I'm using the word CPS is because there's so many different entities out there. I call it the child protection system. So these child protection systems are very corrupt. You are fighting. I compare for fighting CPS like open heart surgery. If you know anything about open heart surgery, you know it takes quite a fancy doctor to work on your heart. I don't think you as a layperson can open up your chest cavity, take the heart out, and work on it. I don't think a plumber can do that. So you get an expert doctor. And that is the sad part because no one thinks about taking out legal insurance to cover a lawyer. People forget this legal insurance. And this is a life skill that I've been trying to teach you all is that you need legal insurance. There are several people that sell legal insurance that will cover a $50,000 retainer or a $100,000 retainer on, let's say, a DUI or something else there. So, what I'm trying to say is that you need to have a real professional attorney fight your case who can navigate because I tell people you're like Alice in Wonderland. You're in the garden, you went down a rabbit hole, and you're going to all these rooms, and you meet the Chester cat who steers you in the wrong direction. Well, that's what CPS is. You're Alice in a Wonderland. They are corrupt. They will have you waste your time. They will break you up. They don't care about grandparents. They don't care about following the rules. They don't follow their own rules and so it's hard because people do some stupid things like I did. You're not supposed to talk to them. You're not supposed to let them in your home. You're not supposed to give up your children. You're not supposed to sign the safety plan. There's all these things because how it's supposed to work is the first step is not to answer the door, not to let them in your home. And people don't want to do that. They want to go ahead and open up. They think if they can say, oh, hi there, everything's rosy dozy. But it isn't. And I also have another reason for not opening the door because I don't want you shot and necessarily killed. Too many people have been shot lately by opening the door. There's a black airman in Grainesville, Florida, that opened the door. He was talking to his fiance on Showtime on the phone. Not Showtime, what's it called? FaceTime, FaceTime on the phone. And he was shot in the chest 5 times by the sheriff, and he died on the FaceTime at talking to his fiancee. So her last words, her last memory of him is watching him die on FaceTime. And that's from Gainesville, Florida. Yeah. So, yeah. Yeah. So, anyway,
When you think you're a heroin addict, sir, I've never even taken a pain pill. Um, they lie and lie. As they keep moving the bar, you do the safety plan that they tell you to do, and then they move the bar even further away and keep adding more. For me, they kept adding drug classes, and I said, well, I don't do drugs, and I've taken 160 plus drug tests in 2 years. They were coming to my house every single day. I did a 5-month program. I did everything they've asked me to do, even though I didn't need to. I still did them. I went to all the evaluators that they told me to go to. I mean, I've jumped over every single hoop. If they tell me to jump, I say how high. But nothing I've done has been good enough. And then on the DCF attorney in court at my last judicial review, she says that I suffer from a mental disorder called bipolar. And I said, well, listen, I'm 50 years old. How? I think I would know if I have bipolar disorder. Why are you saying that? Why? Where did that come from? I've never been diagnosed. So I went and I opened a Florida bar complaint, sir. I filed perjury charges. I actually went to the county sheriff's department to see what they would say because that's perjury when you lie in court. Isn't that perjury?
Yes, it
Um,
is. It is.
yeah. And he took himself for up to 3 years for doing that. He took it all just like I did before the hearing commenced.
Oh
So
yeah.
I said to myself, yeah, myself and my partner drove to Lee County Sheriff's Office. And I actually do know some deputies that work there. And I said, listen, I need to file perjury charges against this attorney. Tell me please how to do it. Well, they felt very bad for me when they heard my story. They were cursing. They were throwing the F bomb. The deputy was. He said, I can't believe they would take your children from you. You, a good, decent, hard working mother. Why would they do that? He said, we were just at a house the other day that had drug needles all over the floor, and there were guns found in the house. They asked DCF to come take these children, and they never came, but they come and take your kids. And I said, yes, yes. What they did, well, they sent me to the Florida bar. So that's what I did. I motioned the court to get the full transcripts, electronic transcripts. I was given that permission. And then I had hired a transcriber to do a transcription of the electronic transcript of the court proceedings, the full hearing. And I got that notarized. And then I highlighted the areas where she lied in court. The DCF attorney sent that to the Florida bar, and the Florida bar came back with, we can't do anything. And they cited case law. They said, we can't do anything until your case with DCF is over. We'll keep it open for a year, they said. But she lied. What do you, just because the case is open? And what? Because I don't understand. How is she going to get away? And that's what the judge ruled on for the DCF attorney and stated that my children should not be returned home to me, even though I completed 10 months of therapy, that I shouldn't have. And the only reason I had to go to therapy was because I'm dealing with the excessive trauma of having my children removed. And they've deemed me completely mentally sound. There's nothing wrong with me. But because the DCF attorney says I'm bipolar, then I must be bipolar. you know?
No,
I mean,
no. Well, one thing is you never want, for instance, social workers that work for CPS are not doctors. They're not clinical psychiatrists. And they love to say they are doctors. They love to show that people are crazy. They love to put parents and children on drugs. There's a mother in Wilmington. There's a mother in Wilmington, Delaware, that is 40 years old, and they've kept her on drugs when she was a foster care, and now she's an adult. She has children. It's so bad that these social workers are doing this because they're not doctors. And anytime that someone asks you to do a drug test or a hair follicle, you tell them, that's fine. I do my own. I have my medical plan. I'll do my own test. And if the judge is the one that has to order, the judge has to order a drug test. So if they do a drug test, you better make sure you do a drug test because their drug tests that they do are corrupt. So I'm trying to tell you that there.
being out in I wouldn't believe that this could happen in this modern society. We live in America. How can this exist today? How is this possible?
It happens all over. You see, the child welfare that we've been protecting our children for over 425 years. It started in the 1600s. And they divided the
and
child welfare into three phases from 1600 AD to 1875, from 1875 to 1962, and from 1962 to the present. And it wasn't until 62 that we got a formalized government entity when Congress passed a law that directed social services to create a child protection system in every county that's found in every state. Now, North Carolina has 100 counties, California has 58 counties. I have no idea why there's more counties in North Carolina than there is in California. But it is, well, I think it is because California's counties are huge. They're not small. And I think North Carolina counties are small. And that's why they have more counties because they divided the state up small because the way the people live and whatnot. California, a lot of the counties are Death Valley. Death Valley's in a county, but Death Valley, not too many people live in Death Valley. So, anyway, uh huh. Well, I've been to Florida, and my trip to Florida was nice until someone decided to run down all the mailboxes on the A1, which is the road that borders the coast. And when
yeah,
I was driving a rental car back from an event I was in Florida, I took the Route 1 because my events involved the beach and the ocean. And so when I drove along, I noticed all these mailboxes were knocked down. It's sad. A truck had plowed them all down. So, anyway, it seems like, and then there's also the problem with the migration of frogs and turtles and salamanders across the road that get so squished upon. Yeah, and so iguanas, yeah. So that's the A1. So that's my experience in Florida, because it's strictly seeing that there. But go ahead, go ahead.
doing the thing. 42 USD and then some year, 1970 something.
No, it was 83. It was 83. But go ahead. Right, 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 right. Well, you can sue CPS. The sue CPS, your case should be over. And you can sue them on violation of your constitutional and your civil rights. My civil rights were definitely violated because I had a social worker that lied. She was under oath and she committed perjury and she could be sued. The problem is it takes money to do a lawsuit. Not too many attorneys want to do it on a condition that whatever they win, they get to keep 30% or something. Contingency. So, my attorney that I wanted there did not have a contingency, and I couldn't afford the $50,000 retainer because I had already spent $150,000 to rescue my boys. I had three of my six children taken into captivity, taken and hurt into foster care, abused, alienated from their parents, tortured. I can go on and on and on, but it's terrible. And I have every right to sue the Orange County Child Protection Services in California. They are corrupt, as well as LA County, Riverside County, San Bernardino County, Kern County, Santa Barbara County, San Diego County. I could go on. The list is miles and miles and miles long. And so what you can do in the lawsuit, is either sue them in state or federal court. I prefer federal court because there's a lot you can do in federal court that you can't do in state court. So that's why I pick. So that's why I have a pick.
Once the lawyer them, puts them into that room with the court reporter, makes them do a deposition. I just know it. And so you're saying I need to get a $50,000 retainer, though, huh? That's a
Well,
lot.
that is, every case is decided depending on the complexity and the length the case has been going on. So it's
Yeah.
really hard to come up with a set rule. Wow.
She was being possibly molested or raped while she was
Yeah.
and it's ongoing. It was opened 2 months ago by my ex-husband, and he and I are working together to get the kids back home. But he opened the case because he just felt it doesn't look good. So
Yeah.
the fact is that the case is still open. It's been open for 2 months, so there is a possibility that that they found something. I don't know.
Right.
Her therapist, her therapist, the child therapist, also thinks that something happened to her when she was there. Um,
Oh, I know
so
something
that
did happen to her because I had a lady on here named Faye Manley, who's from Richmond, Kentucky. She's a remarkable
mm-hmm,
lady. Uh,
yeah,
when she was a child, she was in and
uh-huh.
out of foster care for all her life. She was
Oh,
abused. She was tortured and told to stand on
oh,
rocks so sharp in her bare feet that they caused problems with her later in life.
right.
Anyway, somehow when she was brought up into trafficking, she was raped, she sacrificed herself for the other children that the foster care parents were raping her. This was so bad. But anyway, she was on my show. She right now just got over a double case of pneumonia. She's still fighting the issue. She grew up, fell in love. She did get her nursing degree in college. She got a GUD in high school, so she did able to do all that. But the problem that people don't think about, this is another life skill, is if you're a foster child, when you turn 18, you need to expunge your record in foster care because the data will carry over as an adult and they'll attack your children. So I'm telling you, everybody out there, that if you're in foster care, when you turn 18, the first thing you want to do is get a lawyer to get your record cleared of CPS. You don't want the database in there. Same thing goes for any parent. If you're found not guilty and you're not found guilty, you make sure that CPS is expunged from your record. You need to have an attorney to do that. That's so critical. That's so critical. But anyway, she had two children. She had a daughter and a son. The problem is the son had special needs. CPS, which is called the Cabinet in Richmond, Kentucky, said that she had to make a choice between her daughter or a special needs son. So she chose her son. What's so weird is how come she's okay to take care of her son, but not okay to take care of her daughter? Her daughter was beautiful. They wanted to have her adopted. It's all about money. So she lost her daughter. And so she's been trying to take care of her special needs son. He's now in his 20s, but he's gone off the deep end of some problems. And she's trying to get to be a caregiver or a custodian of her son, who's now in his 20s. So I'm telling you right now, there's so much corruptness, so much corruptness. All you have to do is look at the pink ladies in Prescott, Arizona. And why I call them pink ladies is they 8 social workers bought pink t-shirts. They weren't there advocating breast awareness. They stenciled some messages on the front and back of the t-shirts. On the front, they said they were professional child kidnappers. On the back, they said, "Parents, do you know where your children are?" And they paraded to walk around in all the big stores in Prescott, Arizona. This was in the summer of 2022. And they went over to Kmart and they went to Walmart, Kmart, Sears, Penny's, Best Buys, Target. They went to Costco, all these department stores. They eventually were caught. The townsfolk had them fired. All 8 were fired, along with the director of CPS in Prescott. That left one individual that could run the program, and that was hard on that one individual. He had to take the intake and calls and do the investigations himself. So it was really hard on there. So I'm telling you, this is so much, there's so much corruptness. But as a parent, you can imagine shopping and seeing these ladies very proudly on the front put their professional child kidnappers. And on the back, as they walk past, the parents, you know where your children at. I could go on case after case after case of terrible things that social workers done. So, um,
Education that happens here. You're about to give me a supervised visit next month.
oh, good.
Um,
I'm so glad to hear about that.
well, 3 months, they got rid of the therapist. So my daughter's had 4 different therapists since they abducted her, right? And the judge caught on to this, and I spoke very well, very good at my last hearing about a month and a half ago. And now I have visitation, and they're about to give me unsupervised visitation. And so everything's moving very well because I caught on to their tricks. And I've just been working so hard. I mean, I literally drive to the agencies. I speak to all the supervisors. I've been advocating very fiercely, and I just still am in shock that this happened at all. I cannot believe I got to this place. I have very wealthy friends from out of state saying, "How can we help you? How we can't believe we've known you since elementary school. How could they take your kids away? Like how does this happen?" Because they believe the lies. It makes more sense for them to believe the lies than to research whether or not they're true. And they don't offer any due process. I got no due process. My lawyer told me that my kids would be home if I did the case plan, so I didn't have to do any trial or anything. I wish I would have gone to trial. That man died. He's dead. That lawyer is dead at 29, and he was their top attorney for the 20th Judicial Circuit Court. I think that because he was stressed out, I can't imagine the job that they have to undertake. I mean, I think that the pro bono attorneys, they're basically public pretenders. Though, don't you agree?
I agree. I agree.
Yeah, they're all public pretenders. That's what he was. But he was with me for a year, and I believed him. I thought my kids would be coming home, but they're still not home, and it's almost 2 years now. So, and he died about 4 months ago. And then I got passed on to his supervisor because I was upset. And then they withdrew because they said conflict of interest. It's very funny. I don't understand what happened and how many different times I've been passed along from attorney to attorney, but I've been very vocal. I am 100% going to sue though, and I'm going to take it to the federal courts. Can you give me any guidance on that portion? Like who? I don't know. Honestly, there are no
Well,
attorneys
first of all,
locally.
you should have an attorney. Trying to sue the agency is going to be very complex because they have a lot of money and they're going to get the best attorneys to defend themselves. And I recommend federal court as opposed to state court. So you're going to have to go to the capital of Florida, which I don't know. What is the capital of Florida? Okay, you go to Tallahassee to the state there, and you're going to file your lawsuit. But you should have an attorney file it. It's a civil lawsuit, and you can get them for all kinds of things. You have to look at all the different things that violated in your constitutional right and your civil rights. For
Yes, sir.
instance, if they didn't give you due process, or they
Yep.
kidnapped your children, or there's lots of things you can get them on. If they lied in court or committed perjury. Now, what really helps is that you got to document everything. Documentation will help win your case. So I tell people one of the most important documents to create is called the timeline incident form. Timeline incident. Now, what that means is that everybody does. You see social workers, you see police, you see schools, you see all kinds of people. Those are all
Yep.
incidents. In the course of a day, you may have 10 or 20 incidents that happen. And you probably say, oh boy, this is a tough one. No, you devote 3 lines on a sheet of notebook paper. You skip a couple lines and do another 3 lines. You skip a couple lines, you do another 3 lines. So that way you can cover each incident. Your first line is going to be the phone number or the place you're at where the incident occurred. You want to put the date, the time, the people that are involved. Your second line is a summary of the incident. You want to summarize what the incident was about. Your third line is the outcome. How did it end? If it has an end, you leave it blank and come back later and fill it out. You do that with every incident. In a month's time, you may have 50 incidents, 10 of them
Yeah.
that with the police, 10 with social services, 10 with the school. So you put all these things because documentation is what you need to fight them. And believe me, if you have a history of documentation, and that's something that I failed terribly. I never did that. You should also create a journal. And the journal could be a story. And you can make the journal to your children. If you have more than one child, you can say to my children, and their names. And then you can sit there
Okay.
and do a daily journal of what you're going through, what you're trying to do and fight for your kids. And so when it comes time to see them, they'll have the journal and they'll know how much you really care. A lot of people forget that. A journal is one way that you can sort of help yourself. Now, I don't know if you remember a show called Doogie Howser. It was about a young boy that was a doctor, and he used to watch a TV show. Excuse me, he used to do a computer journal. He would sit there at the end of the day about his episodes in his day being a doctor. He was a teenage doctor, and he wrote in this journal on the computer. And it's so good because that's what he did. He didn't have to write it, he spoke it, and it transmitted his voice into words. So you should have a journal. Yeah. Right. You could use the pilot, use the Microsoft pilot. Yeah. Anyway, right. So a journal is another piece of documentation. Your other documentation's got to be things like your drug tests, and you should do your own drug tests. Don't assume that their drug tests are valid. You need to do your own. You need to go to your medical insurance, and they will cover you, and you can do your own drug tests. So you do that. Right, right.
paperwork. Did you think case? Does Vince Davis ever come to Florida?
Well, Vince Davis will fight any lawsuit in any state, but it does cost money. So here's what he has to pay for. Like the other day, I had a quote given to a couple in Florida. It was a $125,000 retainer. That doesn't mean that's what the lawsuit's going to cost. It may be only $20,000, $50,000, maybe more. But that is a starting retainer. Now, I gave out another quote to Wisconsin, and that was another 125,000. So, not necessarily how far a state is that they have expenses such as your airfare and your ground transportation. He needs to go from the airport to the courtroom. He also needs a place to stay. So there's the hotel. He needs food. So you have air transportation, ground transportation, hotel accommodations, and food. Lastly, he's got to pay for the law license in that state. Every state requires lawyers to have their law license. Not all lawyers will pick all 50 states to pay all the fees. That may be astronomical. They may end up paying $500,000 for law licenses for every state. You don't need every state to be law licensed, but he will go to other states. I know that he was in Oklahoma for a bit, Pennsylvania. I know that he goes over there. So, anyway, yes, the answer is yes. Vincent Davis would come to Florida. He would come to Florida. Yeah. Well, I met Mr. Davis by a freak of luck, I guess. My wife is a good researcher on the internet, and she found him because she was frustrated because we were using court appointed attorneys and going nowhere. We were trying to fight the supervisors and the director of the child protection system in Orange County, California. They're very corrupt from the top down. I met with the director in his Taj Mahal building where he worked. It looked like the Wizard of Oz, the Emerald City. So I'm trying to tell you, it's all about money, and they're so bad. It goes in one ear and goes out the other ear. I'll tell you, it is awful when they are paying themselves. When they get the money from the state to the county, they're getting $20,000 per child a month. They get another $15,000 per child if they're special needs. And if they are adopted into foster care, they get a special bonus of $35,000 that's paid by the government. So this is really sad because yeah, I believe it. I believe it is. So
They it's so easy. Yes, they're choosing your children and they're preparing them for adoption. And that's what they were doing. But I fought so fiercely that I'm not going to let that happen to my children. But it is 100%. It's child trafficking ring. It is, and it's undeniable. And I don't think everybody can see it. I mean, I couldn't believe it. I mean, I just couldn't believe it that something like this could happen in America today in 2025. You know that this could be going on. Legal human trafficking is what it is. Um, but there's two agencies that are outsourced, Children's Network and Lutheran Services in my county, that are handling all the dirty work of DCF and then getting paid very well for doing it. And what I've found is that they want the children that are more beautiful. One of my daughters is blonde and she's gorgeous. The other is brunette and she's beautiful too. and they want my kids,
Yes,
because they're
yes, they do. They do. They do want them. You're right. You're right.
absolutely 100%. And yeah, but I'm fighting, and then I'm going to expose the heck out of them. But I was posting a lot. One of my friends is the city, the county that I live in. Well, sorry, the city that I live in the county that I live in. She's the councilwoman, an elected position, and she represented me as my character witness. And then I had the local anchor at the local news here and his wife as my other witnesses. So I had very esteemed high members of our local community attend the hearings on my behalf to speak on for me, and they were shocked, shocked at what these social workers were saying about me, that I was a drug addict and that I was mentally ill, and yet they have no proof of abuse or neglect. Now they're just worried about defaming me, and it's awful. It's awful, But I've been fighting tooth or nail, and a tooth and nail, and I know that I'm coming to an end soon. But I can't post anything on Facebook or on Instagram or on any of the social media platforms, because if I do, they use that in court, or they use that against me because they don't want to be exposed, right?
Right,
um,
right,
they just
right.
they yeah they and yeah, so I have to be very careful. I was nervous even about being on your show. I don't want too many people to know. I have been quiet like a mouse, until I sue. But I really do want Vince Davis. How do I go about this process? Or like, how do I get a conference, Zoom conference, maybe with them?
Well, you're
How
going
do
to
I
have
start the
one. You're going
process?
to. There's two things you can do right now. You're in luck. You, you're talking to the right person. You're talking to the right person.
Yeah,
What you're going to
thank
do is that you're going to get a free 15-minute consultation by talking to Mr. Davis. Um, it's a private Zoom. What will happen is that when you send me your full name, your email, and your phone number, I will contact my show producer, Grace, who will then schedule a time with you and Mr. Davis. She will contact you with the date and the time. And so it's very important that you know what the time is. She'll give the time in the time zone. Now, she's in the Filipino time zone. So you have to be very careful when you look at the time zone that you have the right time zone. So you're in Florida, so you're 3 hours ahead of me.
you.
It is now after 11 o'clock nighttime, your place. It's after 8 o'clock my time. In fact, my show ended ended 8 minutes ago. I'm now on my running time and I'm on 59 minutes. I've been talking, so I have about a minute left. So, anyway, so what you're going to do is you're going to do that and you'll get that time. But what you need to do is you need to, when you talk to him, he says, "Hi, Bob Pace told me to contact you." You tell him that, and then what you do is that you have your important questions. You make a list of questions. Try to make a list of 20 questions. And of the 20 questions, number them, which ones are most important. Because you can't sit there and think about what question is better than the other one to write it. Just write the 20 questions that come to your mind. Write them down and then put numbers next to the question. Those are the ranking at the ones you need them to answer in case you're out of time. He'll talk to you for 15 minutes. He'll talk to you for 15 minutes. And after you talk to him, um, you can call me back during the weekdays, Monday through Friday, from 8 in the morning to 10 o'clock in the morning, or from 11 o'clock in the morning to 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and talk to me about how to hire Mr. Davis. I can get you a quote and and hold on a second. I'm still here. Right. I had to text the person. I can only talk to one person at a time. So I took care of that. So That's how you're going to get time with Mr. Davis, is that I can get a quote for how much it would cost to Florida for him to come there. I can get you set up with them. I can tell you the forms you need and everything else. So that's Monday through Friday. And now all you need to do is talk to him first. Talk to him first. And if you want to, during that conversation, say, Mr. Davis, after I've talked to you, how much would it cost for you to come out and represent me in Tallahassee, Florida? That's all you have to do. And he'll sit there and he knows the numbers. So there you go. You can know that. So that call is scheduled within a week. So don't fret, all right? So I want to thank you very much for calling in and sharing your story. Well, it's all right. Thank you very much, Amastar. Amastar is a very sweet person from Florida, and I enjoyed her on the show here. Now, for the rest of you that have text a message in here. I have Larissa who came in at 8:04. She is talking about a lady named Senator Nancy Schaefer, who I knew. Nancy Schaefer. She's a senator from Georgia. She was murdered. She was investigated in CPS in the state of Georgia for 4 years and wrote a report, Corrupt Business of Child Protection Service. I know about it, Larissa, and thank you for sharing that. I have no idea where you're from. Maybe you're from Georgia. But thank you for sharing that. Now, Megan Tabitha, thank you very much for coming in my show. She wants the help. She's talked about something called the Ring of Fire. Now, I don't know what the Ring of Fire is, but I'd like to know more about it. Now, Corilla Do a Trick is Felicia. She's from Oxnard, California, in Ventura County. She has a CPS case where she's trying to fight the return of her two babies. Her uh, her real dad has the babies. I guess she has a stepdad, a real dad, and a real mom and a stepmom, and she was a caregiver of her real mom. Her mom owns the home that she was staying in there, but her brother, who's a stepbrother to her, is trying to take away the home from her. And it's so sad because she's supposed to move out by the 22nd of July. She's being evicted from a home she grew up in. She doesn't pay rent. She's not a tenant. The place is clean, but her mother's been kidnapped by her brother, and she can't find her mother. So she's been trying to fight there. So thank you. She comes in twice a day. Thank you, Corilla, for being here. And let me see who else I have. Let me see. We've already had Mega Tabitha. Okay, that is it tonight. And then we have some emojis. We have thumbs up from Christina Reynosa, who's from Las Vegas, Nevada, who helps a lot of people. And then Megan Tabitha wrote a thumbs up too. Thank you, Megan. Thank you, Christina. Thank you all for being a part of my live stream. Now, there will be a short message about Mr. Davis. It's a beautiful little short message. After I sign off, please watch it. Now, I'll be on again tomorrow morning, but it's 8 o'clock in the morning, not 10 o'clock, 8 o'clock in the morning. So please keep fighting for your child. Don't give up. God bless you. And again, thank you, Amastar. And this is Almond and Bob Pace signing off. Good night.
A vivid picture is encrypted in your mind as the critics get in line like they're witnessing a crime. But then you notice there's a shiver in your spine from the feelings of discontentment and bitterness combined. Heartbroken when you listen to the judges, another kid's innocence corrupted, and if you go against then it's destructive. Consider this predicament the toughest, but we believe in a system fit for justice. Child Protective Services only pretends to save it. The one solution for this is worthy of instant praises. 30 years of experience with relentless cases. Allow me to introduce them. This is Vincent Davis, defending you when they don't think a mother fits the role. Is it juvenile dependency or government control? Observe the pain in their eyes. It's time for us to realize we are the last